Yo, welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris, and I'm your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Episode 115 today, and we are diving into a conversation around a very, very common question of how do I actually achieve my goals and make progress? Now, this is one of the most commonly asked questions that I see all the time. I get asked it all the time. But I mean, even if you go onto Google and if you do a quick search and if you look under videos, there's been hundreds, if not thousands of videos made. And actually, it says there's 5.2 million results when you search this on Google under videos, it's just ridiculous. But why do we continue to have the conversation? Why are we having this conversation again? It's because people continue to ask the question, or people aren't getting the information that they want. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to give you everything that you want to hear. I'm going to give you two elements that I believe are interesting perspectives with this whole conversation around how do I make progress with my goals. And I'm actually going to step it up a little bit or take it back a little bit in the terms of I don't want to go too narrow and too deep, but really just focus on these two perspectives around making progress in general and how we can change some perspectives to actually make this happen for you. Of course, you got to go do the work. And those two areas that I want to dabble in today are one, the small things that are stopping us, and two, a small trick to win with progress. So that's what we're discussing today. So buckle up, let's dive in. So the first one is small things that are stopping us. Now, naturally, this is a very broad topic. It is something that we can go very wide, or we can go very, very narrow and niche down into some very particular topics, which is probably what I'm doing a bit more today. Now, what I did off the bat is I asked ChatGPT of what are some of the small things that are stopping us from actually making progress, which just gives us the generalized cliche types of ones. We've got procrastination, we've got fear of failure, we've got lack of clarity, we've got feeling overwhelmed, we've got perfectionism, we've got a lack of accountability, distractions, negative talk, lack of prioritization, we've got waiting for the perfect moment. So these are all the cliche ones around mindsets, perspective, and even psychologically as well. And I know, look, I can put my hand up for plenty of these of where I struggle with, and I'm sure there's some there that resonated with you as well. But what I want to address today are some big elephants in the room of when it comes to distractions. And that was one of the areas that was in that list before. But I don't want to just talk about distractions in general. I want to talk about the big bad word of screen time and how much time we're spending on our screens, or having that time just go straight down the drain. Now, I'm not here to say you shouldn't be on the screen, that you shouldn't be on your phone and all that jazz. You know, there's a time and place for it. But I am wanting to make sure you understand how bad this can really be, and what you do with your time is on you. But again, I want to make sure you understand, how bad we really can be when it comes to sinking our time into just screen time, or nonetheless, not actually for any reason other than just because it makes us feel good. Which is part of the point. I'm going to show you right now, I have not looked at my screen time this week, right now, of how much time I have spent on my screen time on my phone, and average for this week. So I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to show it to you, just to be very, very frank. And I might have to take a screenshot of this, but you can see it there. The daily average is 8 hours and 35 minutes. And if you couldn't see it on screen, I've just taken a screenshot and I've chucked it up. So in this picture, it's saying daily average is 8 hours and 35 minutes. Jeepers, which is actually down by 11% from last week, which is good. Today being Sunday, it's the 14th of May of me recording this, and I've been out running. I haven't really used the screen at all. So, but if I actually look at what's going, jeepers, if I actually look at this, does it break it down? No, this is just on my phone. You're kidding me. This is embarrassing. So I'm going to break it down for you for the week, what that kind of looks like. And this is a better perspective because it breaks it down into social, shopping, and creativity. And social for the whole week has been 28 hours and 30 minutes. Like that's like more than a day. Shopping and food has been, so that's eBay, because I do a lot of stuff on eBay, which is part of my job. So that's 13 hours and 7 minutes. And then creativity, which is things such as probably the camera. That's all it really kind of says, is 6 hours and 18 minutes. But Most used is eBay, then Facebook Messenger, then Instagram, TikTok, Camera, Dropbox, and YouTube. They're the top categories, and then it goes into some smaller ones. But it's just ridiculous, actually. It is actually quite ridiculous. Now, I've never gone through this process of actually dabbling in and seeing what's going on. The amount of notifications that come through, the amount of times I pick up my phone, all this stuff. Wow, it's just ridiculous. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because, one, you can do this too. Most smartphones these days, there's an application on there that you can check built in to the actual device. And the reason why I wanted to bring it out is because, one, it's embarrassing and it's scary to think how much time has gone from there, specifically in the social media space, right? Right here, it says that social, I've done 28 hours and 29 minutes. Now, TikTok alone for this week was 6 hours. That's bad. Like, sometimes I find myself scrolling, while I'm waiting for things, but then that 2 minutes, all of a sudden it's been 15, 20 minutes, right? That's 1% of your day. 1% of your day. So we have to be very, very mindful of this. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because if we actually break it down, we can see where we're actually losing our time. Sometimes things are going to be relevant to what we need to do for work or whatever, like eBay and photos. I'm taking photos for listing things on eBay, and then I'm on eBay answering conversations or answering questions or looking up things or doing research, which all makes sense. But then there's things there which are just irrelevant. It's just for my own pleasure and joy. But it's not actually really helping me. So after looking at that, we can start to see that, okay, this isn't a perfect example of why we're not making progress, because our time is being spent elsewhere where it shouldn't be. Now, again, I'm not here to say you shouldn't be on TikTok or spending some time and having some fun, watching some funny cat videos or whatever. What I'm here is to say is, like, let's make it an open conversation and make sure we're aware of it. Because if you want to make progress, this is the best thing that you can do, is start to use your time better. So time is scarce, right? Like, once we've spent it, it's gone. It can't be found again. We can gain time by leveraging other people's money and things like that, but you will never have that exact time back. And what I find funny, or it's a bit silly really, is we tend to, generalizing here, we blame our lack of progress on a number of different things. It could be, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the tech, or I don't have the skills, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time. But why don't we gain the knowledge? Why don't we invest in the tech? Why don't we learn the skills? Why don't we budget the money? And why don't we prioritize our time? It seems like the simple answer to it, right? But progress is only when we do, right? It's not about whether you fail or not, or whether you win or not. That's progress. It's teaching you the skills and the knowledge of what not to do the next time. Thus, if you were to spend time and money again the next time, you know not to do it where it didn't work, or to do it more and where it did work. That's progress, right? Progress is not getting the results you necessarily want. Making progress is working towards the end result we want, right? And because today, if I don't know how to do something and then I learn how to do it, that's progress, right? But that doesn't get me to my end result, because my end result might be I want to be able to do that 10 times faster, right? So now I have to learn, how do I do this faster? But now I know how to do it once. And I'm going to give you an example of this a little bit later down the line. The big point here is we need to stop making excuses and stop blaming the little things that are actually stopping us. And with a lot of the time, yes, pun intended, the answer is spending less time where it's not needed and where it should be. That's it. That is the answer. That is the simple, stupid answer of it, is if you want to make progress in another area, is take the time where you're not being able to turn that time into something productive and spend elsewhere, right? And I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you. You've seen how much I've been spending on social media. I've just shared it with you. So the reality is there, right? I don't have this figured out, but what I'm sharing with you is something that we need to be aware of, and something that we need to have a conversation about with ourselves. And if you're going to stand there or say things, oh, I'm not making the progress that I want, well, have a look internally first, and see where can you do better, right? Because right there, it shows you that clearly I can be saving time and making better progress. Just calling it out as it is. The next conversation that I want to have is part number 2, and it's about a small trick of how you can win with progress. And it's really just talking about how we allocate time, how we leverage time, and how we perceive time. And this might come across as something even more sillier than what I've just discussed, but it works. It works for me, and it works well. So 1 hour of the day is roughly about 4.16% of your day. 4%. It's not much, right? And some of the tricks that I've used over the years, especially with the running or making progress with running, and because a lot of the time, if I'm out doing training, like I'm doing a 21-week training plan for a 50K ultra marathon at the moment, I'm doing a lot of time-based running rather than, pace or distance. It's more about focusing on, okay, I've got to go out and do 90 minutes, or I've got to go out and do an hour running. And now that I think about it, it might be like, you got to do 60 minutes of hills, or 60 minutes of tempo, or 60 minutes of just paced out. Now, the trick is to identify it as it's only 1 hour, right? Now, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, of course it's only 1 hour. But when we know how quickly we spend the time, as you would have just seen, as I shared above, that we're spending our time or wasting our time in different areas just like that, no problem, no questions asked, then we actually start to see that, well, it's 1 hour. It's only 4%. It's nothing of the day, clearly because we're giving it away all the time. And when I start to change that perspective, yeah, okay, it's 60 minutes. I mean, I can drive to Melbourne. I live about 60 minutes from Melbourne. So it would take me an hour to drive to Melbourne. In that same time, I could have gone out and done a 60-minute run, right? And ticked off one of the runs for the week. So with that same mentality, if you want to make progress, but you have excuses of kind of what we touched on before, but you don't know how to do it, or you lack skills, or you lack knowledge, or you lack understanding, or you're not quick enough at being able to do it, well, the quick answer and the smart answer is allocate time to do whatever you can in that time. And that time then becomes a better bang for buck each time. Now, what I mean by this is take 1 hour, right? You want to learn how to do something. If you're learning how to photograph books on eBay, for instance, to sell on eBay, the first time doing it, you're going to have no idea. This is in 1 hour. And in the first hour of doing this lesson, you have to figure out, okay, what's the best lighting? How do I set it up? What camera do I need to use? What's the backdrop need to look like? What are the right heights? How does the layout? Where will I stand? How will it look? What are the photos I need to take for the books? What other things do I need to consider? Oh, I need to move that out of the way. Or by the time you've got all that figured out, your hour is up. You're lucky if you've done a photo for a book or two, right? But you've spent all that time learning how the prep, how the adjustment, and how things need to be to make this work. So the next time that you do it, in theory, now you should know how to have the setup, how to have things ready to go, how to have the backdrop, what settings to use on the camera. And there's less time on prep and more time on photos. In the long run, you might just have it set up always and you just get straight into the photos. But you see, the second time, all of a sudden, we're so much better at what we were doing than the first time. Our time has become more valuable. How we're spending that time. What took us an hour now only took us maybe 10 minutes to get set up. So now you're learning, now you're focusing the rest of the 50 minutes on learning what are the angles I'm taking. How do I need to take the photographs? What are the things, information I need to capture to be able to put on eBay? And as you do this more and more, you spend more time doing than having to figure it out. You actually start doing execution opposed to learning and upskilling and figuring it out or researching or knowledge building. Eventually you will peak out in terms of how much output you can do within an hour, and that's okay. But right now you get to take that 1 hour and you have the ability to turn it into a better bang for buck each time. And that 1 hour will become super, super valuable for you down the line. Now, see my point. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to start playing drums, if you want to learn to run, if you want to master chess skills, if you want to start cooking, if you want to fix your veggie garden, if you want to carve wood pieces, if you want to draw a picture, it all applies the same. Spend 1 hour. Yes, spend 1 hour. It doesn't have to be every day. You could do it every day. You could do it weekly, whatever it may be. And then let the progress happen as you spend that time. And that 1 hour will become more and more valuable each time. It's a simple little trick, right? People ask me, oh, I don't know how to do this. It's like, well, have you tried? It's like, no. So, okay, now I can teach you how to do it. Like, I could literally show you how to package something. I can show you how to take a photo of a book. I can show you how to run. But you're still going to have to figure it out, right? The problem might not actually be you don't know how to photograph a book. The problem might be you don't know how to use an iPhone. The problem might be you don't have a camera. The problem might be is you don't know how to set up lighting. It's got nothing to do with photographing the book. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we need to learn to be able to apply ourselves to get the best output possible. The only way to do that is to make progress in learning, in understanding, gaining information, gaining knowledge, gaining skill, right? That's the only way to do it. I'm not here I'm not here to give you the answer you want. I'm here to give you some perspective to help you get what you want, and it's going to make you be prosperous for the long run. That's really what I want. These are simple little things. I'm not going to win a Nobel Prize for this kind of stuff, but there's simple little tweaks that work for me. Whether they work for you is up to you. Go try it. The next time you're thinking about something's not working, or I've got an excuse on that, or it's not working, go try. Time box an hour and see what you can achieve in that 1 hour. Figure it out. The next time you spend that 1 hour doing it, I guarantee you it's going to be more productive than the first because you've learnt so much. It's a simple little hack, and the time's going to pass anyway. 2 years later, see where you're at. 2 weeks later, see where you're at. Right? I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but the matter of the fact is, I have not gotten to where I am today, and I still have a long way to go. But I figured things out, I'm learning as I go, and you can ask people for help. Ask me for help. Get insight, get understanding, but you still have to go apply it in that 1 hour to be productive and see if that works for you. Just because something works for me doesn't mean it's going to work exactly the same for you, but you can take my learnings, you can apply it to yourself in that 1 hour, make some progress, and then the next time you do it again, tweak it, you're going to be a little bit better. That is the secret to it. That's it. It's that simple. I can go on about this. I'm going to calm down. So if you do have questions about this, or if you've got a nice little hack that you do to manage your time better or to make progress, I mean, these two were from me. Like these are my perspectives and my opinions. I would love to hear from you. And if you do want to share, you can drop it down in the comments below if you are here watching on the YouTube. Otherwise, if you're listening on the podcast audio side of things, you can reach out to me on the socials or jump over to the YouTube video anyway and leave a comment. Otherwise, you can continue the conversation via SpeakPipe, and that's www.speakpipe.com/furtheryourlifestyle. And you can leave a voicemail or a message of sorts where I can integrate it into one of these episodes and have the conversation. If you want to do that, that's by all means, it's up to you. Yeah, I mean, this has been episode 115, short and sweet, keeping it real. And look, I've got some work to do clearly on the screen time. And I'll challenge you, what's your screen time? Because it's something that's really taking the time out of our pockets, literally, because we take it out anyway. You get my point. It's literally taking the time away from us, and it's the unstated thing that we don't really talk about. And I think it needs to be addressed a bit better. I clearly need to fix it myself. So we'll see. We'll see. I can talk about it all here, but whether I go do it, that's on me. All right. Appreciate you all being here. Again, more than happy to continue the conversation. Otherwise, you have a wonderful day. Cheers.